So in this module of the free email marketing course that I'm putting on my YouTube channel, we're going to be talking about how to write copy effectively for e-commerce brands. Now, I'll be honest, a lot of people overcomplicate copywriting when it comes for e-commerce brands because there's a lot of like traditional direct response-y type of copywriting tactics, and those types of strategies are just not really needed because in terms of writing copy for e-commerce brands, a lot of the time it's just short form design-based copy, which I'll be honest, it's not that hard once you actually really understand your customer psychographic and also just like a lot of the components that actually go into a good piece of email copy in relation to e-commerce brands. So in this module, I'm going to break down exactly how you can actually understand the core problem you're solving for with your brand and your products. So that way you understand which audience you're targeting and speaking to. And then I'm going to show you like tactically how to go about writing copy for each of the elements within an email, so that your designers, or if you're doing it yourself, if you're a smaller brand, know exactly how to actually put it on design and create really high converting email pieces. So let's dive into it. Now, when it comes to copywriting, the main thing to understand is that to be able to write effective copy that doesn't sound generic and just like boring, you really need to understand who it is that you're really speaking to, right? So first of all, you need to identify your audience, which obviously if you're a brand owner, you should have like some idea of who that is right now because you've already ran the brand for a while. And if you don't really understand, you can go into your Google Analytics or your Facebook audience analytics to see kind of which age ranges you're targeting, whether they're female or male, and you can see what interests they have, etc., right? But if you don't really have any of that, or you want a better understanding of your customer psychographic, what I'm about to show you is the process that my team and I go through before writing copy for any e-commerce brand to really get to grips with who we're writing to and how is best to kind of convert them to really understand their pain points and that kind of stuff, right? So let me show you how to actually understand your target audience. And it's with this simple research process. The first thing I always do, and I'll show you guys this live by essentially doing a live demo for you. So let's go to Facebook ad library first of all. And one of the products that I know for a fact is like really trending at the moment is CMOS, right? So I'm just gonna search up CMOS and I'm gonna pretend for the sake of this module that I'm gonna be trying to understand the audience of CMOS, right? And all of the pain points associated with it, and then I'll show you how to write copy for a brand as an example. So first things first, you're gonna go into ads library, but you're not just gonna search your product. You're gonna isolate it to the main country your target demo is gonna be in. So for example, obviously the biggest market for D2C right now is the US. And in terms of ad category, you're just gonna select all ads, and then filter-wise, I always like to filter by video ads, right? Because only really like slightly bigger brands can do UGC type of video ads. And if in terms of images, it's not really that telling. So first things first, I'm gonna go over to media types, select video, and then boom, hit apply, right? And this will give me the top performing creatives essentially in this category. So Sunny CMOS, this could be a potential one. So I'm just gonna go over to view ads, and then I'm gonna go back to the original search. And then I'm also gonna look at Superhuman just to find a brand as an example for you guys. So see summary details. Okay, so this person has 85 versions of this ad. So this could be a pretty good one to look at, right? Whereas this one is only running 5 ads. You wanna find a competitor that's running a decent amount of ads, and then you're just gonna want to go over to their page. Once you go over to their page, you're gonna go to the About section and then go under Page Transparency, and boom, you're gonna go over to Ads. So right now you can see they have 610 results, but they're actually not running any active ads. But this is like a pretty good one because I'll be honest, I already know like this angle performs really well. So you can see
already
the
have
hook.
A big pickle? Well, what is wrong with a bigger pickle?
So their whole thing is like selling CMOS and Shilajit as like a bundle offer to give men a bigger phallus, right? So when you actually find a competitor, if I'm looking to write copy for this brand, for example, right? I would look at their product page. Okay, I see Superhumans, CMOS, Shilajit. Okay, interesting. So this is their entire product page. These are the ingredients within their supplements, as seen on Shark Tank. So I can straight away see actually this page is very much optimized for mobile. So I'll just like view it natively. Actually, this has something that it's like dropshippers use as like a copy paste protector so that their images and creatives can't get stolen. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and view this in mobile form, which is gonna be going over to developer tools and then going under the elements tab. I'm gonna click this so I can view this in mobile essentially. So I'm gonna scroll down, 16 and 1. Okay, that's fine. They're running some bundles. Okay, cool. So let's pretend I was doing like audience research for this type of brand. I can see straight away if this was one of my clients,
Rhodiola rosea.
their whole angle is essentially like higher testosterone, obviously because they're selling Shilajit. And then sea moss has a lot of like minerals and that kind of stuff to support higher testosterone and better like hormonal function. So essentially where I would start with this brand specifically is I would just create a Notion page, and I don't really have a template to follow. It's more so this is just like an idea dump of what my findings are, right? So first things first, I already know that black seed oil, sea moss, ginger, Shilajit, like all of these things are really just like nootropics to really help with like hormonal function. So I would just start writing down keywords, hormonal function for men, bigger pickle angle, which is kind of funny, angle, and increased levels testosterone. And then I'm gonna scroll down a little bit to really get to grips with what they're offering. So in terms of ingredients, ashwagandha is definitely a nootropic, black seed oil, okay, got it, okay. Ginseng, that's pretty cool. So basically boosted energy, fat loss, muscle gain. So fat loss, muscle gain really is just more of a, what's it called? The thing to increase metabolism. So increased metabolism to burn fat, right? So these are like the main USPs. Muscle gain as a result of tests. And then intense detoxification, that's fine. So boosted energy and intense detoxification, these are more like perk type of things and perk benefits, because it's not like you can't really dive into insecurities and all of this stuff with these angles. Whereas things like fat loss, muscle gain, and that kind of stuff, and like losing hair, low testosterone, that's like a massive point of insecurity for a lot of guys. So that's definitely something that we can kind of tackle, right? Cruelty-free, clean ingredients, that's fine, that's more standard. Double trouble, okay, so this is like emphasizing the benefits of using these guys in a bundle format. So some reviews, so this is pretty cool. Now, in terms of, I don't really trust reviews on product pages simply because those can be faked. So where I would like to do review mining is actually on Amazon. When can I see results? How many times do I take it? Okay, that's fine. What does it feel like? So if we were to just like get rid of the first angle and then let's say to tackle specifically like these ones, right? Hair as well, hair and skin. Skin is going to be improved as a result of all of the minerals that are found within sea moss. So hair and skin, because it could be an angle for like acne prone as well. So once I understand this, I then will likely go to like YouTube or something and then just figure out like who is talking about the product that they're actually selling on things like podcast, etc. So for example, I might go search like Shilajit just as a broad term, let's say, right? Does Shilajit work? I might go into some podcast. So if I do Shilajit podcast, boom. Okay, so it's very much fitness related. Okay, so benefits of ashwagandha and Shilajit. So this is something that I would definitely watch.
There are certain...
So I would watch like a thought leader or like a KOL within the space, like Andrew Huberman, and I would watch like more of the sciencey stuff and turn it into more of like direct response type of angles. So I can already imagine what he might be saying. Like he might quote a study that's like Shilajit boosts testosterone by 200% within 2 weeks, let's say. If we were to take like a statistic like that, we can then kind of see what insecurities are attached, right? So for example, that whole low testosterone thing. So guys might be buying this to kind of help with, let's say, erectile dysfunction and that kind of stuff. Obviously, we can't mention those things because those are like regulated claims. However, you can kind of imply it, right? So for example, their whole ad angle, if you were to look into their Facebook ad library, it was like, do you want a bigger pickle, right? So the whole bigger pickle thing is going to be a big angle for them in terms of like top of funnel awareness for their brand. So that's definitely something to drill into. And then obviously they're targeting men who are probably a bit like insecure with either their physique or just like sexual performance, whatever, that kind of stuff, which you can kind of extrapolate into, okay, if they're insecure about that, they might not be able to attract the right partner. They might be like really nervous around girls. So you can kind of have angles as, for example, like as a pain to try to solve, right? Hey, the reason why, like, before you approach a girl, your heart starts beating and stuff, like, it's because you actually have low testosterone. Nothing wrong with you. Not because you're like just a bit shy and a bit of a pussy. Like, it's actually a biological thing. So you essentially, when it comes to selling people stuff and writing copy, you want to always like divert the blame from them, because people don't like taking accountability for things, right? Same thing if I was selling things to help with, let's say, hair quality towards women, right? Like some women have really dry and damaged hair, and I was trying to like sell them on a product like a shampoo or a conditioner that really moisturizes and revitalizes their hair. I wouldn't say, hey, your hair sucks because guess what? Dyeing it 5 different colors from the ages of 15 to 19 completely ruined your hair, right? Instead, I would say, actually, it's these companies that put the chemicals in these hair dyes that ruined your hair. Not the fact that you chose to use them, but it's because of these evil giant corporations. And now we have this holistic remedy that has all of the natural ingredients that is designed to revitalize and reverse the damage, which was not your fault in the first place, right? So that's the kind of approach that I would take to all problem solution type of products. So once you have an understanding of like the benefits of the products, I want you to list out all of the pains essentially. So, you know, a primary pain as a result of low testosterone might be like erectile dysfunction, let's say, right? Obviously that's like a really extreme example, but that's still a thing, right? Now, erectile dysfunction is the reality that they're facing. However, in terms of understanding someone's psychographic, what do you think someone with erectile dysfunction might have as like insecurities, right? They probably will have it in the back of their minds when they're dating, whatever. So like in terms of unable to approach girls, insecurity in social settings, feeling like inferior, right? Inferior, whatever. Like all of these things are things that we can kind of talk about and hint at and imply when it comes to copywriting, right? And then what about muscle gain as like a thing, right? Muscle gain as a result of increased testosterone. It could be that, you know, feeling and looking more confident. And then another consequence of that would be maybe they walk into a crowd, into a room / crowd, and just really is able to control the conversation in the room and the energy of the room, right? And obviously if you have more confidence, you can, and this is like me extrapolating a bit deeper, but as in like, you need to be able to understand all of these things around your product and around your audience, right? Because if someone's more confident as a result of them like looking more buff and more jacked, right? They might make more money, right? Because if you're more confident, you show up better on interviews, on sales calls, etc. You end up closing more deals, adding more value to the company you work with or the company that you started, right? So therefore, you might be able to make more money, right? Hair and skin, right? Because sea moss has a bunch of minerals that improve hair quality and improve your skin. So if you're acne prone or something, this could help with that. And you can say, you know, like angles around this, if you have better hair and skin in particular, because, you know, if you're someone with acne, you might be insecure with walking into somewhere, or when you look in yourself into the mirror, your acne is the first thing that you see, so you assume someone else might see that shit too. So stuff like that, you can extrapolate deeper into someone's psychology, and once you understand that, it becomes so easy to actually write the copy, because the copy is, unlike like long-form advertorial funnels and stuff, it's, instead of being thousands of words long, it's only like 100, 200, maybe 300 words. So it becomes a lot easier to write because it just flows naturally to you, because you're able to speak to your customer like they're a friend or someone that you're like trying to help out, right? And you end up having more empathy for people as well, because you end up like really deeply feeling for their problem as well. So once you have this like research doc, the next step is to really figure out like what competitor products are offering and where they're falling short, right? So the place I like to look at all the time is Amazon. So just go to amazon.com and obviously go to the local Amazon of the country that you're targeting. For me specifically, it's gonna be US, right? Just do the capture and I'm gonna type in Shilajit as a product. And I'm also gonna do CMOS as well. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find some products like this one. It's got a lot of good reviews. Let's say this one as well. And we're just gonna go over to their review section, and we're also going to filter by most recent because top reviews are not always like that great. So this product is difficult to get out of. Okay, so this is interesting because if you understand the Shilajit space, you'll know that like Shilajit is like this thick tar thing, right? Where basically it air dries if you leave the cap open for too long, and the bottom like 20% of the product is like really hard to scoop out. So if you've ever had any experience with Shilajit, you'll know that. But basically it's like, okay, difficult to work with. So this is like competitor product, right? So I'm digging for potential objections. Competitor products, Shilajit, and then we're looking for like potential objections, right? Difficult to work with, fine, whatever. And then we're looking for Shilajit, okay, so good. How much lead does this product contain? Okay, so interesting. So lead is one of those things where a lot of Shilajit products, because they're extracted from different regions of the world, people are not controlling for lead quantity within the product, and it's not really lab tested, right? So lead quantity, is it lab tested? So that's something that I would definitely look into. Nails and hair helper, that's awesome. So Chris really found it useful when it comes to improving the quality of fingers and nails. Loving it so far, loving it so far. Positive effects, great stuff. Okay, so you see this product as a whole actually has a lot of top of funnel awareness because you can see it's already selling really well in Amazon, right? So that means there's a lot of demand for this. Mediocre, great for energy, but the benefits normally found in Shilajit were lost during the purification process of this product. Okay, so C60 seems to be a purification process and perhaps some mineral contents. I would not recommend this. However, I have found better options to fit my personal needs. Great packaging. Okay, so this isn't actually super helpful, but it did point out that during purification process of Shilajit, sometimes the benefits get lost. So this would be something that we can target, right? In terms of our copy when it comes to emails, we can mention that our Shilajit process goes through a very different purification process that doesn't actually lead to the loss of minerals, let's say, right? So purification process. And essentially, you just would want to spend at least like 2, 3, 4 hours going through all of this stuff, and then the next steps I'm talking about too. And if you just do this over and over again, you'll be able to have a really good understanding of your space, right? So top reviews, most recent, boom. Doesn't work, only complaint is, it didn't give me any type of energy increase, doesn't work, cannot be consumed. Okay, great. So basically this is a terrible product, right? They have a ton of 1-star reviews recently. So this is pretty interesting. Okay, so tastes like crap, right? Yes, Shilajit has been known to taste like crap. Crap, it's very bitter, it's very hard to swallow. It's just, honestly, it tastes like medicine. I've had it before. CMOS, let's take a look into CMOS. So CMOS is something that's also quite interesting because it's quite prevalent in the African American community because I believe it's like a Jamaican or like a Caribbean product originally. It was used a lot in those types of regions. So we're just gonna look into the reviews on this, right? And we're gonna go to most recent, boom. Easy to swallow, no bad taste after. So a lot of it is to do with taste, it seems. A lot of family and friends are on it. It contains many minerals. Okay, great, didn't notice any change. Side effects, lots of energy, easy to swallow. So basically people like when CMOS, easy to swallow, no aftertaste, great for detoxing. So basically this is like a pretty positive product overall. I can't really find anyone with like really awful reviews because most of these are 4.5 stars, right? Yeah, so CMOS in terms of reception is actually pretty good. So essentially you would want to just troll through these reviews for like at least 30 minutes to an hour, list out as many possible competitor objections as you can. So that way you can understand all of the potential things that would prevent someone from buying from you. And obviously this is like more talking head. And you know, outside of competitor reviews, you can also take a look at like Trustpilot, Better Business Bureau, all of these things to find even more reviews to delve deeper into. You can also look into the comment sections of their Facebook ads. And how you do that is by going over to a brand's Instagram profile, for example, and just looking at like comments from like their latest posts. You can also stalk some of their Instagram followers, because sometimes if they're appealing to a very niche audience, you could literally just go on their Instagram, see who follows them, and just like view the profiles of the top people that follow them. Maybe check between 50 to like 75 people, and then you'll get a good understanding of, okay, is it primarily men that are buying it? What type of age ranges? What type of interest? Maybe you notice that out of the 50 profiles that you check, most of them have like posts about motorbikes or like fishing or like something to do with like holistic wellness or something like that, right? So from there, you're able to then infer, okay, so this is the type of individual that I'm really targeting. You can also go on Facebook ad library to search for key phrases that they might be targeting around the problems, right? So for example, when it comes to CMOS, it might be targeting like hair loss, right? So you type in hair loss on Facebook ad library and see what products and solutions are already available on the market when it comes to hair loss. See what some people complain about that. So for example, like one of the solutions to, let's say, hair loss is like minoxidil, I think, right? Which basically is something that you put in your hair and it's supposed to like grow over time, right? Now the problem with minoxidil is it has a lot of hormonal influences and like side effects. Yes, it's effective, but it's got side effects, right? So a lot of people are looking for like holistic, natural alternatives, in which case they might turn to something like CMOS, collagen, that kind of stuff. And I promise if you just spend like a few hours doing these things, the level of copy and what I'm about to teach you next is going to be a breeze, and writing copy is going to take you literally like 10 to 20 minutes per email. But you have to invest the time in upfront and know what to look for as well. So let's dive into exactly how to write copy for e-commerce brands. I'll go ahead and have some slides and a deck that I've prepared on screen with live examples of each of the sections that I'm going to be walking you through. And if you actually want access to this deck, feel free to just subscribe to my email newsletter down below, and I'll send you a link to it along with a bunch of other resources in terms of over 250 email templates that you can use and draw inspiration from, resources on how to actually audit your own Klaviyo accounts, etc. And also, if you're a big enough brand, just, if you're a brand doing over 50K a month and you want me to look into your email marketing myself, feel free to book in a call with me as well. So let's dive into it. When it comes to writing copy for an e-commerce brand, there's only really a few sections you can make copy around in terms of like your banner copy, your CTA copy, reviews, that kind of stuff, right? If you understand individual modules in copywriting for e-commerce email marketing specifically, building out an email is basically just dragging these little building blocks in, writing copy for these little blocks, and you have the whole email completed, right? So in terms of all possible blocks, it's going to be your banner block, your CTA block, review blocks, product display blocks, benefit highlight blocks, content or story type of blocks. So this is the only type of block that actually requires a lot of copy, and you'll see all of the blocks listed on screen. You can have like countdown timers and featured on for like authority and brand building to ensure trust. You can also write guarantees, and that's really about it, right? Obviously you have like logo blocks, footers, etc., but like those don't really require any copy. So if you know how to write copy for all of these blocks individually, building out an email becomes a lot easier. If you look on screen now, you'll see that this file is the design gallery that you'll be able to get access to if you sign up to my mailing list, and all of these are essentially composed of one of the blocks that I mentioned, right? So for example, this one, you can see the top section is your banner block essentially, and then some content block telling stories around these whiskey glasses, and then this section is essentially just like product displays, right? Product display, product display, product display, highlighting unique selling points, boom. And then obviously if we put these in Klaviyo, there'll be footers, etc. There's also like offer blocks, more story blocks, unique selling points. All of these things you can kind of display in different ways, like review blocks, for example. But you can see like all of these are fundamentally comprised of different building blocks. And if you just understand how to write individual blocks, email marketing becomes so much easier. So first things first, let's talk about the banner block and how to actually write copy for that. When it comes to writing copy for this section, you have to understand, first of all, where the banner goes. And this is why there's this whole best practice thing around like designing for above the fold, right? So essentially the banner is just the email that's displayed on the phone without the user needing to scroll, right? So the important thing when it comes to having a good banner is that it needs to be eye-catching. It needs to convey the goal or the offer of the email, like the intent of the email. Just like how, in school when you're taught to write like a letter, it's basically you always open with, I am writing to and then you insert the purpose of the email. That's literally the banner, right? And in terms of use cases, 9 out of 10 emails will always have some form of banner. It could be a short banner, it could be a longer one with a CTA in it. But the idea is you always want to optimize the banner to the aspect ratio of mobile phones, making sure that all of the information that's needed is displayed without the user needing to scroll, and like the text isn't like cropped off halfway through or something like that, right? Because that's gonna massively increase the amount of users reaching to the next stage of the email. The next block that I wanna show you how to write is just your call to action blocks. It's basically the text that goes into a button, right? Most commonly, it's gonna just be shop now, order today, learn more. And the whole point of this is just to convey to the audience, hey, this is where you need to click, and this is what I want you to do, right? It's literally button text. Not that hard to write again, right? The next section is reviews. Reviews is really important because it's really great for building social proof with your audience. However, most people, when it comes to putting reviews into their emails, they don't actually strategically select the reviews to handle objections. So this is where we can get a little bit interesting, right? So remember the whole research doc that I put together, right? In terms of like the biggest insecurities people might be trying to compensate for with your product. In terms of the review section, most brands just simply put like, oh, I love this product by Lauren from like Texas or something, right? But I love this product doesn't actually help the customer to make a decision on whether or not to try this product or not, right? So instead, you want to pick reviews that handle the objections for you, right? So if hair loss is like a big problem for the product that you're trying to sell and you're trying to target, you want to pick a review that targets hair loss specifically, right? So if I was picking the reviews to go into selling CMOS and Shilajit, I would make sure to pick one review that talks about like better hair nails. I would pick another review that talks about like, oh, I was a busy entrepreneur and I had low energy all the time, but by taking this without changing my horrible lifestyle habits, I was able to have high energy. You see what I mean? Like you want to pick the reviews that mention the core objections and the core problems that your audience might have. And another tactic is to implement some sort of UGC with the actual reviews as well. So like, the review of what someone said with like a profile photo of what they actually look like as well. And you can kind of like mix and match the two, like it doesn't really matter. Like if someone left a review about like erectile dysfunction, obviously you don't want to put their face next to it because, like if you have that as an issue, you don't want your face next to it. So it's just like understanding privacy and all of these like nuanced things, just make it make sense. You know what I mean? Like pick the reviews. Sometimes, yes, it helps to use UGC. However, some people might not want to like have their face tied to whatever objection you're trying to handle. So, pick and choose and use it with caution. The next block that I'm going to show you how to write copy for is really important as well, like product displays. So when it comes to product displays, it's basically just showcasing whatever product it is that you're trying to push in this specific email. And you can essentially just include this in any email. So in terms of like examples, I want you to really pay attention because product displays, it matters a little bit more how you design it and lay it out, right? So if you want to do a product display that's like row by row because you have like the product image here with the information and a CTA, then you want to do it in one row. However, if you're trying to showcase multiple products, then with very little description, then you might want to do like a 2x2 kind of grid format. Again, you want to be conscious of what it looks like on mobile. So you can see on screen right here, there's an example of a 3x2 product display. This is something that we kind of want to avoid because on mobile, what's going to happen is the products are actually going to look a little bit too small for people to distinguish the text, etc. So you really want to pay attention to how you envision the product display block to be designed before writing the copy. Whereas this one, you can see we chose just like a row by row display because we wanted to add some copy to go with the actual product itself. Whereas here, a 2x2 made sense because it's able to display the product image as well as the title of the product without taking up too much space or making the text too small, etc. The next building block of emails that's also super crucial is benefit highlights, right? And this is quite interesting because you can either convey this through text or you can convey this in the form of like icons. So a really good example of using icons would be something like this. So boosted energy, fat loss and muscle gain, thicker, fuller hair, intense detoxification. So in terms of icons to aid this, instead of using this little tick thing, the brand might choose to use like a little lightning emoji. Fat loss and muscle gain could be that emoji that's like flexing the bicep, and thicker, fuller hair is like that hair massage emoji. Intense detoxification could be like this like meditation emoji, right? And you can also design like custom icons. So that's one way of displaying benefits. The other way is to really write about these benefits, right? And this is where slightly longer form copy comes into play in terms of really tackling the underlying problems and insecurities people might be facing, right? So for example, if I was tackling that whole like acne thing in terms of like better skin with sea moss, I would say something along the lines of, are you someone that every time you look in the mirror and rather than seeing you for the attractive, handsome 20-something-year-old that you are, all you see is just this young man with like an acne-ridden face that everyone is gonna notice as soon as you go outside, right? Obviously that's like terrible copy. I just literally like put it in my head in like 5 seconds. I would refine that into a proper sentence structure, but that's like the general idea, right? And then you want to insert the benefit of the product, which is, hey, actually, it just means you're deficient in a ton of minerals, and by adding these minerals, your acne scars can heal as well over time, right? So that's another way of highlighting benefits. If you want to use the icon way, you can highlight multiple benefits at once. If you want to do the slightly longer form one, I would focus on tackling one benefit at a time. And then comes the content blocks and the story blocks, right? So this is where you're telling stories about your product. It could be like a founding story. It could be just like overall content blocks in general in terms of like documenting like a research paper that backs the claims of your products as well. If you're more of an amateur copywriter, or if you're just like a founder running your own brand, bootstrapping everything, and you just spit strapped for time, a hack for this is rather than thinking about like, oh, okay, what copywriting tactics can I use? What like copywriting frameworks can I implement here? Just focus on talking in facts. In terms of studies show that taking 200 milligrams of Shilajit over a 2-week period increased the testosterone of the control group by 42% on average. Something like that, right? You stuck to the facts, it's a content block, you may be able to draw a graph to back it up, and that's it, right? That's a content block. Whereas if you're doing stories, again, sticking to facts, right? Hey, my name is Boyan, and I started this superhuman supplement brand 3 years ago out of frustration because I noticed that in my family, there's like genetically receding hairlines, right? And I knew that the best cure for hair loss is prevention, which is why I looked at my diet and found all of these problems, and I realized I was deficient in so many micronutrients. So that's when I started researching and I came across sea moss. And back in 2018, it was super difficult to find this, and I had to ask like my Jamaican aunties to somehow source it and then ship it back to the States, and it was a huge headache with customs. And that was when I realized I had the bright idea of just selling sea moss, because I started using it myself, had great results, and then I ended up giving it to some friends to try. They also loved it, right? You can see how this is like, you build out the story, and there's no copywriting tactics involved. You just stuck to the facts and it still sells, right? And one of the other blocks is countdown timers. So when it comes to countdown timers, this is a great way to introduce urgency for product launches as well as sales events. So if you have a discount code that's expiring in 24 hours, you can back that claim with a countdown timer. Now, when it comes to countdown timers, obviously it's not like copy you can just write. This program that I like to use is countdownmail.com. Very cheap. It's like $10 a month and you'll basically get infinite uses out of it. So highly recommend that. And in the builder email module of this free email marketing course that I'm doing, I'll show you exactly how to actually set a countdown timer within your email campaigns. And the next section that I want to talk about is like the featured on sections, right? So you see those brands that has done a bit of PR in terms of like, if you're in tech, it might be like, I don't know, like Tech Daily or like Linus Tech, that like tech magazines and like tech channels, right? Featured on is basically just as seen on Shark Tank, NBC, CNBC, whatever, right? Or like featured on. There's only really 2 variations, as seen on or featured on. That's it, right? Featured on is super easy, and then you just slam the logos of where you've been featured on, and that's basically how you do the featured on blocks. And finally, we have guarantees. Guarantees is a really interesting one, and I love implementing guarantees, especially for consumable products, because it's a really great way to reverse the risk for a first-time buyer in terms of trying out a new thing, right? Because most people are scared of 2 things, right? I'm gonna get scammed and it might not work for me. Oh my God, it's expensive. It's more of a fear of loss thing. So guarantees is a really great way to reverse that fear and handle that objection, right? And you know what's crazy? The funny thing is, guarantees don't really like increase return rates or refund rates that much anyways. So don't be too afraid to give like unconditional guarantees if you're a brand and you're like bootstrapping and you're scared about losing money. I promise you, you're not gonna lose money, you're just gonna get a ton of conversions. And fun fact, actually, what you'll find, especially when you're selling lower ticket consumable products, the longer the guarantee, the less returns you actually get. Because why? People forget. That's basically what it is. So saying a 30-day guarantee actually has a higher return rate compared to a 180-day guarantee, which is kind of counterintuitive because if you think about, people technically have longer time periods to return, so in theory it should be higher. But in practice, what's actually going to happen is if people had a 30-day time window to make the return, they're going to keep themselves to a tight deadline and make the return. Whereas if you gave someone 180 days, what's going to happen is they're not going to be bothered to make the return within the first, let's say, 60 days. But by the time 60 days goes by, they would have forgotten about the product anyways, even if they didn't really end up using it, right? So that's how essentially guarantees work. And that's basically it. That's literally all of the possible copy blocks that you can have when it comes to writing copy for e-commerce email marketing. What I'm gonna do in the next module is I'm gonna write a piece of copy dedicated to this product specifically, and I'm gonna show you how to easily design all of the blocks that I'm gonna show you today inside of Canva. Of course, my team and I are able to produce way more professional and just like better looking designs if we were to do it in Figma. However, this free course is specifically aimed at brand owners that are sub 50K a month. If you're above that, I would highly recommend you just book in a call with myself. I'd love to take a look into your Klaviyo account and give you any form of advice, as well as see if like it makes sense financially for you to just like outsource it to us, because I can guarantee that we do a much better job than if you were to take it in-house, right? So book in a call if you're 50K and above per month, and if you're not, then just, enjoy this. So looking forward to showing you guys how to actually design the emails in the next module of this free course. Stay subscribed. I'll get that video out ASAP. See you soon.